the non-cuddlers cuddle is just to touch butts. So we can just touch our butts. You've been traveling.
I have.
Yes, you have.
Yes, 2 weeks ago, I was in Virginia.
Yeah.
For the Hugs and Kisses stuff we were doing, which I've already talked about. But last weekend was more about just a trip out of town, and went to Key West.
Nice.
A fun time. I really miss live music.
I do too.
Since the whole COVID thing.
Yeah.
And Key West has a lot of it.
Do they really? I've never been there.
Yes, it's kind of like, it reminds me a little bit, well, it's its own thing, but it reminds me a little bit of Nashville and a little bit of New Orleans. Ooh. But on a much more kind of chill level.
Okay.
I was thinking, I saw the cops and they were asking people to wear masks while they were out and about around other people. But basically everything else is the same in Key West and in Miami almost at this point.
Yeah.
But lots of live music, lots of bars with live music and great musicians. And then they have this sunset. They're famous for their sunset at Sunset Pier.
Oh.
And funny enough, I was going, and I've been to Key West many times, but it's been a while. And every time I've been, and it's been a few years, but I end up listening to this phenomenal reggae artist who I bought his CD.
Nice.
Last time I was there. So that tells you it was a little while ago.
I love that.
Yeah, but I was like, I wonder if he's still there. And sure enough, walked down to the pier, and there he was singing Three Little Birds by Bob Marley. And his voice is just so beautiful and so pure and so feel good. And I just sat down and I was watching the sunset, and it was just gorgeous and so peaceful. It felt so peaceful. And they have all sorts of other entertainers out there doing funny tricks and tightrope walking, and it's a fun place. So you've got to come with me sometime.
Yes, I do. I can't wait to travel again. I'm a Sagittarius, and we like to wander, and I haven't done much wandering.
No, you haven't.
No, I've been to Leavenworth, Kansas this last week.
Okay.
Which is not a bad city, but there's not a whole lot to know, except there's a lot of prisons there, but I think it's like Kansas's first city. So there is some rich history there, but really I just went to go run an errand. And that's been my extent of my travels.
Well, let me ask you this. What happens to a Sagittarius who is restricted from traveling for too long?
Well, I can tell you what's happened to this Sagittarius. I honestly, I get super restless. Mm-hmm. And I can't quite control I'm kind of restless anyway, but yeah, I find myself a little anxious, a little, yeah. I plan a lot of trips. Mm-hmm. That's kind of my fun thing to do, is plan a luxury trip. But
I love that. I think you should. I think I've mentioned this before, but I got a year-long calendar, like a big one, and put it up and started filling it in with everything that I want and plan to do. And it's a little complicated not knowing, exactly what's happening with the pandemic and how quickly things are going to get back to normal in all sorts of different places across the country and the world. But that being said, I kind of pushed it out. I'm starting my trip planning in a couple months. But of course, I'm back and forth to Virginia quite a bit now as we get closer and I start to build my tiny home that I cannot wait for you to come and stay with. We're going to cuddle in our tiny home, but just for a minute because we're not cuddlers.
We're not cuddlers, but that will be so awesome.
But you kind of have to in a tiny home because it's really tiny. There's not going to be a lot of space.
Well, the non-cuddlers cuddle is just to touch butts.
Okay.
So we can just touch our butts.
That butt cuddle.
A butt cuddle.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. Well, another one I just decided on, so I wanted to run this by you as well because it's not till the fall, is a Joe Dispenza event in
I have
London.
You don't even need to run it by me. I'm there.
Okay.
Wait, in London?
Uh-huh.
Oh wow. Oh my
London.
God, Joe Dispenza in London?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
he's also going to be in Ireland.
No.
And Australia, but that's like actually really soon. He's going to Australia. That's a big trip. That's a planner. But London is not that far. It's a pretty easy trip.
I would love to go to London. I'd love to go to Ireland.
Me too. I haven't been there.
All right. So what are you celebrating today?
Wow. Here's what I'm celebrating.
Yeah.
You, number one.
What?
That's right. I am celebrating Stephanie because, and there's a reason, I'm especially celebrating you today because I listened to our group call, your group call from Saturday's boot camp. And for those of you who don't know, we're in the middle of this 6-week intuitive food and fitness boot camp, and we have just the most extraordinary group of women.
Gosh.
I'm blown away. I am just blown away by the work that's being done. So on Saturdays, we have a workshop that I run, followed by a group coaching session that Stephanie runs. I hang in there if I can, but otherwise I'm listening to it later. And I was listening to it just earlier, and there aren't even words. Like I'm sitting there just, it's remarkable what can occur in a matter of weeks. Like the shifts that can be made when somebody puts their mind to it and has the right guidance and the right person asking them the right questions to help them discover the answers and empower them, what that looks like and how that feels. And one thing that was funny that Jennifer talked about is not necessarily loving the human race, but loving individual humans. And that resonated with me a lot. She works with animals, and of course, animals are my passion, saving them. But yes, when I'm listening to these calls, and it's just I can't even put words to it. But one of the other things that was interesting about this particular group call was something that one of our boot campers spoke about that really resonated with me. And everybody talks about, everybody's situation's very different, but everyone's got similar underlying struggles and challenges that they're dealing with, and everybody can relate to one another in such profound ways. And one of the things that resonated was this boot camper who talked about finding the balance between being introverted and being narcissistic.
Oh.
Where does that line get crossed, where if you're introverted and kind of stay to yourself, and where does that turn into selfishness or narcissism? And this really resonated with me in part because I was in a bit of an argument with somebody who when I came out to say that I was sorry how they were feeling, because I didn't know how they were feeling, and I said, I'm sorry you were feeling that way. And that person responded with, that's so interesting you said that. I just read an article about what narcissists say. And that's exactly what narcissists say. And I was like, wow, okay, great. That is great to know. Anyway, so it hit a nerve, obviously. And you, my friend, said the most profound thing. And it started with a question. Yeah. And you said, are you worried about being narcissistic?
Hmm.
And our boot camper replied, yes. And you replied, then you're not narcissistic, because narcissists don't worry about how their behavior affects other people.
Right.
And it was so simple, and I got the chills just now, but so profound.
Mm.
And it like put her mind to ease, like right away.
Mm. Mm.
So I'm celebrating you and your phenomenal question, and just how into these calls that you are, and how focused you are, and how in tune you are. And they go for quite a long time. So it's very impressive. And how long you're able to really stay there and be completely engaged and give your all to these amazing women that are going through this program.
Wow. I'm speechless. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, I used to tell people I don't have any talents. Like I can't play the piano. I don't make pancakes well, as I have said before, but I really do love the group process, and it's something that it's just part of who I am, I think. And so I love being there, and but this group makes it so easy. They are just such amazing women, and their ability to get vulnerable with one another and really talk about those things has just been, incredibly inspiring. The group process is such a powerful process. And I love what you said about, resonating, the problems resonate with one another. And I think that really part of the power of that is that you realize that you're not alone. Because really we're unique as individuals, but there's nothing special about our problems, and when you really lean into that, and you lean into the community that builds in a group, it supports everything that you're trying to do for your life. And so I hope more people get to experience that.
Me too. And that's the reason we created something so accessible with Vegan Life Coach Academy, because we do these very intensive programs that people, it takes a commitment, it takes an investment. But with Vegan Life Coach Academy, it's a much smaller commitment with a much smaller investment, but you're still getting these tools, and you get to kind of use it as in the ways that work best for you. And so it's a different kind of thing. It's a membership. It's not meant to be a start to finish structured process. It's about giving, people the tools they need, the guidance they need, the coaching, but more, at a little bit of a different level. And so that more people can participate. And we've got a great group there too.
Yeah. We really do. We really, really do.
And interesting that half of the people that signed up for the boot camp were already in Vegan Life Coach Academy, because they got a taste of what we're doing.
Yeah.
And said, I want some more structure.
I want more structure. I want more intensity, and I want more, more connection. So I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. And we do only work with a handful of people at a time, and that allows us to have such an intimate conversation as well on these group calls, that everybody gets to be coached on those calls. And, we can't do that with a bigger membership. But, the way things are going, we're going to have to do this boot camp again, because it's just too special.
Absolutely. We've already had people ask. So come on. Cool. Come on.
What are you celebrating, Stephanie?
I have to celebrate my daughter, Alex. And I know I talk about my kids all the time, but they're the most amazing human beings in the world. So I have to talk about them, but she wouldn't mind me talking about this because she's pretty open about it, but she's really struggled with some anxiety. She's a freshman in high school, but last week she blew me away. She, this year she decided to go out for swimming, and last week she made the JV team and got third in one of her events, and she'd never swum before outside of just splashing around in the pool. And last week she did this, and then she also entered our t-shirt contest.
Yes, she
and,
did.
and she did not win, but she had one of the favorites. But really what I'm celebrating is her ability to push through that anxiety. Because sometimes it's debilitating for her, as anxiety can be. And she has pushed through that and really challenged herself and, continued to challenge herself through that mess. So I'm celebrating her.
That's fantastic. And I loved her t-shirt design. This was for our Hogs and Kisses t-shirt design contest. And you know what I loved about hers, as well as just being, it makes you smile, her design. But it also is such a great design to put on things like mugs and different, not just t-shirts. But I think that's one of the things that we're going to be able to do with, we're using a site called Threadless, is to be able to create different things. And I just think, the winner was more of a painting, right? And it was this painting.
Which is beautiful. Yes.
But it's not really a standalone kind of design. Like her, Alex is just going to be adorable on things like mugs and, I don't know, hats. It could, there's tons of things we could put it on. And it's great. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it too. Very simple and sweet. You just want to kiss that piggy.
You do. And speaking of, that's kind of a random thought. Just want to kiss that piggy.
I just want to kiss that piggy.
Just want to kiss that piggy. What about any other random thoughts? I love random thoughts. And I thought we should sometimes have some random thoughts on a segment here. And I keep creating segments, but I love them all the segments. We're just going to have to rotate the segments.
Yes. I think we should have, we have so many of them, honestly.
Yes. You want to hear mine?
I do.
Okay. And I thought of this segment with this thought that I was having. It made me say, yes, we got to do a random thought segment, because how else am I going to ever bring this up? Because it's just random and weird. But this is something I've been thinking about for years, and it occurs during yoga class. And so I don't know if you know, Stephanie, but do you know what the floor bow is? It's when you're on your tummy and you have to reach back and grab your feet and you go up in like a back bend kind of thing.
I have seen the bow.
Okay.
I have experienced a bow-like position. Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, every time I go to do the bow, it's very uncomfortable, like on my pubic bone, like my private area, my pubic bone. And every time I'm like, are other people feeling this? This is really uncomfortable. And I'm pretty tough, except when it comes to the cold. Like, I'm pretty tough and pain is not a big deal. But then when a teacher comes over, which hasn't happened in a year because of COVID, so nobody's, helping us out now. But when they would come over and they kind of grab your feet and kind of pull you up a little further, it would almost bring tears to my eyes. It would be so like painful. And I'm thinking, does my pubic bone stick out more than everybody else's? Because I don't quite understand why nobody else seems to be having a problem with this floor bow. And I need to put a towel under my pubic bone. Is that normal?
Well, I don't know, but I am thinking that, us curvy girls, we don't always have the same issues in our, protrusion of bones. I'm thinking my bow might be okay.
That's an interesting point. Why didn't I think of that? I didn't even think of that. I was just thinking mine might stick out further, but I do have a low body fat percentage, and there isn't a lot of padding on top of anywhere on my body.
Yeah, I think you might have hit on something.
Okay. We got curious and we figured it out. I think that's so true.
I think we figured it out, and that's just one more reason us curvy girls are,
Oh,
Hitting the yoga circuit too.
yes. I love it. All right.
The bow doesn't hurt.
Bow doesn't hurt. Okay. Well, now that we've figured that one out, any random thoughts on your side? Or do you have to wait till I randomly think of it?
I have so many random thoughts during a day,
Yeah.
but I did have a random thought today that kind of caught me off guard, in that Hemi has been through heartworm treatment. And he has this little patch that has been shaved so that he can, so that they can administer the treatment. And I was looking at it today and it hasn't grown back at all. And my random thought was, I wonder if he's going to have a little haircut there his whole life. And if he does, if that will be colder than the rest of his body.
And
if he will notice.
Where is it?
Well, it's kind of near his butt, near his spine, because they have to administer it there. And he's been through so much. I didn't want him to be through, I didn't want him to. And so then I just covered it up with a blanket extra.
Well,
I know.
You could make a cute little decorative patch somehow. If it's cold and he's,
I
could. Do you know what the patch could look like?
What?
Alex's design for the t-shirt.
Oh, that would be so cute.
That would be a cute patch.
That'd be yeah. His Chiefs jersey covers it up.
Oh, speaking of. You ready for this weekend?
I am so ready. We are, meeting Tom Brady again is going to be, it's
incredible.
So exciting.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And I just have to throw this out there because we haven't talked about anything vegan lately. But I want to remind people of my idea about the campaign to change the material of footballs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're pig skins. They're leather.
Yeah. And I don't know if we have any vegan Chiefs, but we should really bring this to them. We have some real animal lovers on the Chiefs team, so we probably do.
Yeah, well, there's certainly vegan athletes in the NFL.
Yes.
So I bet we could get some people on board, and there are so many amazing alternatives to leather now. I mean, you can do a pineapple skin or an apple skin. Yeah. There's so many creative materials now that can be used that we just have to start a campaign. There's a lot of footballs out there. That's a lot of pigs we could save.
It's a lot of footballs. Yes, I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, calling all you listeners, if this cause hits nerve, reach out. We will join forces and work on eliminating the pig skin and changing it to a pineapple skin or whatever.
Pineapple skin, apple skin. Yeah.
One of those.
I like it.
Well, cool. Well, shall we get into today's topic?
Let's do it.
All right.
Oh, are we loving on the haters today or no?
We're gonna love on the haters next time.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Because we are talking about love.
We are talking about love. It would be appropriate, but it's time to move on.
Well, we don't want to have too much love. We got to save that for next one. Yes. Love on them then. It's too much love.
Well, how we came to the decision to record this episode is interesting. So for our listeners here, we were kind of brainstorming what topics we thought would be most helpful to you guys and came up with quite a few. You were on fire the other day. You were like listing them out. Some days we're like, not sure. And you were like, this one and this one. I'm like, oh my God, yes, wait, I got to write that down. We got to do that.
Well, I was on fire because I swam a mile yesterday for the first time.
Wow.
In like years. And I swam a mile and I felt like I was like on fire.
You were
for
on fire.
My whole life. Yeah, my whole life was about to take flight. It did take flight.
It did. Well, you just started whipping out these great ideas. And then we decided on one, but then I realized, because I make notes about what holidays are coming up, to make sure we address maybe topics that would be very relevant at the time. And this will be coming out a few days before Valentine's Day. So I said, and I actually wrote this down, our little text conversation. I said, oh, wait, the episode will be 5 days from Valentine's Day in case anything comes to mind related to Vday. And your response, Stephanie, was,
Talk about random thoughts.
Yeah, there you go. Vday is a made-up holiday designed by Hallmark and Russell Stovers to make us spend money and eat candy. And I said, totally. So should we ignore it or challenge it? And you said, well, will we seem like Valentine equivalent of Grinches or Scrooges if we challenge? And I said, if we aren't organized with our thoughts, probably. And you say, maybe we could share alternative ways to celebrate. So.
Oh, on fire.
Where we're going. You were on fire and you thought of how we could turn it. And so I said, yes, let's do it. Let's do it. And one thing I thought about, Stephanie, was the different emotions that come up for different people at different points in their lives when Valentine's Day comes around each year.
That's so true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, when you're a kid, you live for these little holidays, and particularly for Valentine's Day.
I had some cool parents, right? I have cool parents. My dad is an artist, and he would make me Valentine's Day cards. He would write a little poem, and he would illustrate this little mini booklet that he would put together with a poem and illustrate it every year on Valentine's Day.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Yes. That's so sweet.
I know. I can't wait for you guys to get to know him, because he's helping me build my tiny home and we are recording it. So I'm going to definitely be bringing him on. He's very lovable.
I love that.
Yeah.
You know, on the opposite end of the parental spectrum, I am not the mom with the magic. And around here, the kids are supposed to make Valentine's boxes at home and bring them into school, and they're very excited about them. And my kids always had the dud Valentine boxes, because their mom could not figure out how to do anything but a slit and some stickers. So I wish I had known your dad when they were doing that.
Yes, so sweet. But, you know, Valentine's Day doesn't just have to, I think we oftentimes think of it as adults as a partner type of holiday.
Absolutely.
Right? You know, thinking of your significant other, your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever it is. But it's not. It's, I mean, if we're celebrating love, there's so many different people that I love and have different types of relationships with. But because of that, you know, there's issues that happen in people's minds when they're single and Valentine's Day rolls around, or you've gone through a breakup recently and it brings those emotions up. And then what about when partners have different ideas about what Valentine's Day represents and how it should be celebrated? That should word, yes, I'm throwing it out there. Yeah. And how that causes issues in the relationship. Oh, he's not thoughtful, or, you know, she doesn't care, or when really the underlying, you know, issue is very different. It's not even about love.
No, it's about expectation. It's about expectation when that happens.
Talk about expectation, Stephanie.
Okay. So yeah, expectation, I think, is really something that we build, of course, based on nothing. You know, we have this thought in our head that isn't true, obviously. And we build our hopes. We build, you know, so much around that. And if we're talking about a partner, if we don't communicate those expectations to our partner, then of course there's no way to meet those expectations. But it's also with ourselves. You know, honestly, if we don't verbalize those things to ourselves, then, you know, here we are with just a bunch of nothing. So, you know, I think expectation is really a very, it's tricky place to be.
It is. And it's interesting because communication has a lot to do with this whole thing, but not just communication with other people. I think we really don't think about how we communicate with ourselves enough.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And one thing we're always saying at Vegan Life Coach Academy and in the boot camp is to approach yourself with curiosity and compassion.
Yeah.
And to set yourself up for a healthy communication with yourself in those ways, just like we would with other people.
Absolutely. You cannot have good interpersonal communication without intrapersonal communication as the foundation.
This is right. And that's what the self-empowerment coaching system, you guys, is all about. So
there it is.
If you have not reviewed that lately, definitely go check out that episode. And I'll put a link to that episode in the show notes for you guys.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So when we're talking about alternative ways to celebrate or mindset shifts that we can make for this Valentine's Day, whether we want to call it Valentine's Day or not, just maybe around celebrating love in a way that brings meaning to your life and facilitates self-growth. How about that holiday?
I love that. I love that.
Forget the stupid cards.
Yeah. Donate the candy.
Donate the candy. Yeah, we don't. Well, we need chocolate, really? Well, many people would confuse that with love, but that's okay. Because there's lots of vegan chocolates. By the way, remember, you guys, people often think if you're in the transition to vegan and you think you're going to have to give up chocolate, think again. There is chocolate everywhere that's vegan. Just got to make sure it doesn't have the dairy milk in it, but there's so many alternatives. So do not worry if you are on this journey and you haven't quite gotten there yet and you're worried about the chocolate. No need, plenty of chocolate for you. So
absolutely.
Plug in that. So what can we do? Steffi, what would you suggest or encourage people to do this Valentine's Day when they're maybe jaded from the commercial part of this holiday?
Yeah. So I think there's several things that you can do to add meaning to this time. And really, if we're talking about love, if we're really celebrating love, then that's what it's all about, doing something that's meaningful to you, that's going to show your love. And so the first thing I think you could do is donate or volunteer, find something that you're passionate about and that you can either do and give a little bit of yourself or give a little bit of your resources to. Hugs and Kisses is a wonderful place to donate and give a little bit of love to those piggies.
Yes. And I don't know about you, but how that feels we could call it a selfish act. I don't care what you call it, because it feels so good to me to donate my time, energy, money, whatever it is that I'm giving. That's, I can almost call that selfish because it feels so damn good.
It really does, but it feels good because it's meaningful.
Yeah.
And not only are you showing yourself what is meaningful, but you're showing other people what is meaningful through your time and your resources.
Yeah. Agreed.
Love that.
Agreed. One other one is writing a love letter to yourself. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I think that that's a great way to really celebrate love, because it really does start with ourselves, right? We have to really have a foundation of self-love. And so, yeah, write a little love note to yourself. So, write 10 things that you love about yourself, or whatever it happens to be. A list is always a great way, because it doesn't take hours and hours. But list off those things that you really appreciate about yourself.
Yes. And I think without being in a program, this is a very hard one for people to say, I'm actually going to do this like on my own. Just, it feels weird. So if you're thinking, oh yeah, I'm sure that would be good for me, but that's a little weird and I'm not going to do that. I encourage you to take a leap of faith and do it anyway.
Absolutely.
Do it anyway. We do exercises like this a lot in our programming, and when other people around you are doing it and when it's assigned to you. But think of us as your coaches, right? This is the Vegan Life Coach podcast. So consider us our coaches, whether you're in Vegan Life Coach Academy or not. We're here for you. We're doing this podcast for you. And these strategies that we talk about on this show are really powerful, and they've worked really well for a lot of people that we've worked with. And we've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people.
Yeah.
So Yeah. Don't you think?
I think so. I think so. If you haven't tried something like this, give it a go. I think that you'll be really, really surprised about how meaningful it is and about how many times you can come back to it.
And if it's
Yeah.
hard for you to write 10 things that you love about yourself, what does that say?
So it's time to get some good people around you and help shore you up so that you can do it easily.
That's right. Yeah, we got to look into that and again go through that self-empowerment coaching system. What's going on and how is this affecting the rest of my life and what I'm able to do with my life and my confidence, and that this has self-love and confidence go hand in hand. And confidence, we know, is such a huge factor in succeeding in our lives in all the ways that we want to succeed. Not just how we eat and how healthy our body is, but how healthy our mind is and what we're able to accomplish with our careers and what we're passionate about and following our dreams. This is so much bigger. This is all the things that we talk about here are so much bigger than food and fitness.
Yeah.
But, that's oftentimes what we want to fix first, because honestly, that's the easy part.
Yeah. So true. So true. Yep. Get in there and get curious. See why it's hard. I like that. I love that.
You have one other strategy for people to...
I do. Yeah. I think that Valentine's Day is the perfect time to spread some random acts of kindness, spread that love to just your fellow man by just doing something for someone, even if you don't know them, pay for somebody's coffee or just, save the elevator door, or, whatever it happens to be that you can do to help your fellow man and show a little love.
Men and women.
Yes.
He,
I should have said that.
Her,
he, him, her, they, and their.
Them, their. Yes. Covering it all.
Yeah.
Yes. Important. Speaking of that, it's just last thing that came to mind when you said that. One thing I did just today was to get change, because I carry around credit cards, and I think that's very common these days, that there's very little cash, and we have quite a large homeless population in my area. And so often I will walk by somebody who I'd really like to give some cash to, and I don't have any. So today I made it a point to pay for something with cash so that I can have some cash on hand to give to people. And speaking of that, one thing that really stuck with me from my training in social work, from my education in social work, was, and we came from a strengths perspective in counseling, and we're talking about the homeless population and donating and giving when we walk by. And this teacher said something that was really powerful to me. And she said, if you're gonna give, you just give. You don't judge where that money is gonna go. You don't give with stipulations. You don't give and say, well, you got to buy food with this, not alcohol or drugs. You give and you just give. Yeah. And that stuck with me ever since. I was, 20 some odd years ago. And I live to that today, because if you're going to give.
Yeah.
And if you rather give food, but to make a judgment on somebody and put stipulations on that, yeah, it doesn't feel good.
Yeah. I think the most loving thing you can do for anybody, no matter what no matter what walk of life they are in, is just to see them, see them without judgment, just to see them. So I love that.
Yeah. Another thing we can do to celebrate love. Celebrate love. That's what it's all about. Well, I love you, Stephanie.
And I love you, Ella.
And I love all of you out there listening, as I know Stephanie does too. So we will see you next time.